if I start singing random lyrics, so I'm going to turn my music off.
Oh, I disagree. I think that people would tune in just for that.
He'd tag it
He'd be
all,
like,
and
clip,
we'd
clip,
have
clip.
Ruben would have clips everywhere. I know you're watching this, Ruben. You're going to clip all the singing
That's
that is
right.
going to happen.
Oh, you guys missed it. He was just doing Beastie Boys stuff. It was
Mhm.
really good.
That was good.
But I hadn't hit the button yet, so you guys don't get to see that. And so sorry.
Mm. Mini karaoke morning is gone forever. It's broadcast out into the ether, and no one will have a copy of it. Darn.
Although, just to be fair, if you go to twitter.com/dasme, or maybe it was your wife's tweet. It was either you or your wife's tweet. There's a video of you on there singing karaoke.
Yeah, I can't remember what song that was. She asked for permission to post it, but
Um,
she did that when I maybe wasn't thinking perfectly clear because of liquid that I may have consumed, and I said, "Yeah, go for it," and then I really regretted it in the morning.
All right. Well, hey everybody, how's it going? And I just realized I have not yet opened up the recording software, so let me get that started. If you are new here, welcome. This is going to be a podcast all about Google Stadia, so make sure that you are ready to talk about that stuff. I can't find the button that I'm guest samples there. Okay. All right. I've got every time I open up Reaper, do you want to update? I never update it.
I update Reaper, but I guess one of my plugins needs an update, and I'm like, but I just updated Reaper, so I'm like, go to Reaper's website, download the thing, and it's like that's the same version you have. There's no installation needed. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, it was one of my VST plugins, I guess, needed an update.
I got a little scared this morning because I sat down and like my computer was like the window that I had open was closed, and I was like, uh-oh, what happened? My computer updated overnight. And so I was like, all right, Windows, what have you done? But
Yeah.
everything seems fine right now. So, knock on wood. Because I can't stand when Windows does that stuff. All right, you wanna talk about video games?
I very much want to talk about video games. This has been a very good video game week.
Yes, it has. Let's get started.
All right.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stadiacast. I'm Bill, that's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
I'm 2 weeks post my second shot vaccination, and I actually did things in the real world. Did you know the real world exists, Bill? It's an amazing place. I did real world stuff, and I'm still pretty happy about it.
The resolution and frame rate of the real world is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. It almost seems photoreal. It's weird. It's an amazing engine they're using.
The combat is terrible, though. I'm not a
It
fan of
hurts
the
a lot.
combat.
It hurts a lot. I don't know why, but yeah, it hurts. Yeah.
Absolutely. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know this is Stadiacast every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. My very good friend here, Lloyd, and I sit down and we talk about all of the things that are relative to Stadia. So make sure that you are here for that. And if you are, don't forget to click on that like button because it absolutely helps. And there's other buttons down there that you can use. You can use the super chat message to make sure that we see your message. You can use the join button in order to get access to some videos ahead of time or some videos that are only for members after the fact, that kind of stuff. There's also the applaud button, which has actually been changed to the super thanks button. And we got to really quickly say thank you to two people who use the super thanks button. I don't like the name of it, but I get where they're going with the super
Super
chat,
chats,
super
super
stickers, super
stickers.
thanks.
Yeah.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue. But thank you very much to This Is Alan and Neil Galang for using that super thanks button. We really do appreciate it. If you don't know, it highlights your comment, so we absolutely see it, which is great when you got a billion comments going in, like we did this week, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But all of that aside, let's talk about video games. Lloyd, what have you been
Yeah.
playing?
I've been trying a lot of the stuff that has been coming to Stadia recently, and it's all been really, really good. But one game has stuck with me for some strange reason, and that is One Piece World Seeker. Let me preface that with I'm not a big One Piece fan. I don't watch a lot of anime. I used to a long time ago. I don't really watch a lot of anime anymore, but I had seen the first season of One Piece, which was about 20 years ago. And then I've since learned that there's about 1,000 episodes of this anime out there. So if I want to catch up, there ain't no way that
You
that's
got work to
happening.
do.
That ain't gonna happen. But I've been playing One Piece World Seeker, and it is essentially a Assassin's Creed like, with the gameplay of like a Spider-Man game grafted on to the game, and it is glorious. I am absolutely loving it, even though I'm not a huge fan, or sorry, I'm not going to say I'm not a huge fan, because I haven't watched enough to say whether I'm a fan or not. I'm not someone that has watched a lot of the cartoons or the anime. I'm really enjoying it. So it's an open world action RPG where you basically run around worlds, doing quests for people. There's a full fast travel system, just like modern Assassin's Creed games. Once you get to a specific point in each area of the world, you can then fast travel to it, and it is great. It is really good. You play a character. If you're not familiar with One Piece, the main character Luffy basically ate a fruit that turns him into rubber. So he's rubber. So he can stretch his arms really far. He can bounce if he's falling from great heights and all that stuff. So when you're getting around the world, you are essentially stretching out your arms and grabbing trees or platforms or buildings, and basically launching yourself up into the world. And then there's like this what is it? It's a gum gum UFO thing that you do, where you basically spin all your limbs so you can kind of float in the air. So the getting around the game is, it's great. Like it takes the boredom of kind of running from one point to another and turns it into kind of like a Spider-Man swing through the air, float through the air thing. And it's just been really fun. Some of the criticisms of this game, because this is an older game, I think it came out in 2019 on other
Yeah.
consoles, and it came to Stadia this past week. They're saying it's very repetitive. It's the same sort of enemies that you're fighting and the same sort of fetch quests. But I love that type of stuff when I'm playing an Assassin's Creed game or any game like that, where you're basically taking things off of a map. And the game itself just looks gorgeous. It's cell shaded for all the character art, but all the actual I don't know, trees and grass and hills and mountains are essentially photoreal looking. So it's like this weird juxtaposition of like photoreal stuff and heavily cell shaded anime looking stuff. Just absolutely loving this game. So while I've tried to put more time into other games that have come out recently, I'm spending all my time playing this game. I think this is a game that I'm going to try to 100%, or at least get close to it. I know there's some quests that you have to do in looking at the achievements, where you are trying to you have to do things like S rank challenges and things like that. That might be too much for me. But this the version that's on Stadia is on sale right now for a lot cheaper than it used to be. I think it's like $30 instead of $120 up here in Canada, and it comes with all the DLC that came with the game on other platforms, or came out for the other platforms. So absolutely, absolutely loving One Piece World Seeker. Not something that I ever thought I would say. In fact, I kind of picked it up on a lark because it's like, okay, I know what One Piece is. I didn't watch much of the anime, but hey, let's jump into this one. It's an open world game. And I'm absolutely falling in love with this game, even though the Metacritic would have some people look at it and kind of like go, "Ooh, okay, maybe not." The game itself is just everything that I love about video games, where you're finding stuff, checking things off your lists, exploring, doing quests, upgrading. There's a upgrade system for your equipment. There's a cooking system. So once you rescue the guy that cooks as part of your pirate crew, he can make food for you, and there's quests to find all that stuff. It's everything that I love in video games, all wrapped up in a crazy anime skin. So really, really enjoying One Piece World Seeker on Google Stadia.
That's awesome. And I don't know how long it's on sale for, but if you go to the Stadia website, it'll say on sale until whenever, and then you can make up your mind at that point. It
Right.
sounds really cool. It's funny, like Lloyd texted me and he said, I think I'm gonna pick this up, even though it's got like a 58 on Metacritic. And my brain said, and I've been somebody who over and over and over again has said, don't listen to Metacritic, not because Metacritic is bad or anything, but
Right.
because you don't want to look at the score and just say, well, clearly it's a bad game. You want to read what people think about it. And so I've always said, well, I just ignore Metacritic. But then he goes, well, let's go to 58 on Metacritic. And I was like, well, he's going to regret that, but I'm not going to say anything. So he ended up picking it up and he loves it. And so it just goes to show you that you can't just look at a number next to a game's name on Metacritic or on IGN or on any other website. Just look at the number and
Yep.
know whether or not it's a game that's going to land with you. You got to
Yep.
read what people say. You got to find somebody whose opinion you kind of agree with on most
Right.
things and base your purchase options on what they think of it. So, I tend to agree with people like Jeff Kanata. Jeff Kanata
Yep.
and I tend to like the same games. If you don't know who Jeff Kanata is, he used to have a show called The Totally Rad Show. Now he does a bunch of D&D stuff, but we tend
Yep.
to like the same style of games. So back when he was talking about games all the time, if he liked a game, I bought the game.
Right.
And sometimes it didn't go well for me because he loved Kirby's Epic Yarn, or I can't remember what it was, and I just thought that was a snoozer.
Right.
But generally, you just want to find somebody that you tend to agree with and
Yep.
see what they think about it. So, be
100%.
wary of Metacritic. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to remember that we should be wary of Metacritic,
Well,
because, maybe sometimes they're wrong. All right.
100%. One thing I just say before we move on
Yeah.
to the next game is for people that are they want to check it out but they're not sure, and you maybe watch my first look. It's very like pop-up tutorial heavy. I'm going to do a stream this week. I'm not sure which day. I got to figure out which day works because of work, but I'm going to do a stream, and I'll stream the game for a few hours so people can come and check it out, because yeah, it's fun. Every reviewer for reviews on Metacritic are saying, "Oh, it's repetitive, it's blah blah blah." But if you're repeating things you love, that's fine. Like Diablo, at its base, is very repetitive. You're killing enemies and getting their yummy loot that they spew out of their loot pinatas. But that's fun. And if the repetition in this game is fun, then exactly it might be a game that you would like. So
Right.
yeah, that's all I'll say about One Piece World Seeker. It surprised me because it's based on a franchise I don't really know that much. I just watched a very small amount of it, but man, the game itself is fun. I love Spider-Man, I love Assassin's Creed, and this is like taking them both, like peanut butter and chocolate, putting them together.
You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. Anyway, all right, let's move on and talk about a game that totally surprised me, because you just talked
Mm,
about a game that surprised you. I saw the like, I guess, the not the launch trailer but the announcement trailer for CrisTales,
mhm.
and I said, I don't I'm not excited for this. It doesn't look interesting to me. It looks okay.
Right.
They did a bad job selling that game. And that game has some mechanics that are really, really, really weird, and I love it.
Mm,
So I'm just gonna give you the reason why you should check this out. It's got a time travel mechanic that is implemented. It's not just a story, it's not just a MacGuffin kind of thing. It's not just something to push the plot forward. It is directly related to combat in the game and puzzle solving in the game and storytelling in the game. So the way that the game works is the screen is broken up into three sections. There's like a triangle, and you've got a little triangle in the top left, a triangle in the top right, and a triangle in the bottom middle, breaking up your rectangle into three triangles. And on the left hand side is what is happening in the past. On the right hand side is what's happening in the future. And
right.
on the middle is what's happening in the present. And so if you are walking along, you will see a woman in the present. If you move to the right, then you'll see over on the left hand side of your screen that she gets younger. And if you
Mhm.
move to the left, then on the right hand side of the screen she gets older, or
Right.
maybe she disappears because she's dead. Who knows? Um, you can affect the future by manipulating things in the present. So, like, for instance, you can see in the future that there's these two buildings that are dilapidated and something terrible has happened. And in the present, you will have the ability to fix one of those two buildings, but not both. And so then you have to make a choice, and it has all these branching options and stuff about what choices you make throughout the game, which is really cool for replayability.
Right.
That's fantastic, but that's not even the combat part of it. So the combat part is what really blew me away. It's a
Same.
typical turn-based JRPG where, you know, you pick your attack, you hit a button, and then they've got a little bit of like Mario RPG in there where when it's time to actually hit your attack, you can hit a button for extra damage and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the way it works is, just for example, very early game, don't worry about spoilers here. You'll have a character in your party that has the ability to poison. Okay, so what I can do is I can use my ability to change time, and I can say, all right, if you're on the left hand side of my screen, well, at the beginning of combat, everybody's in the present. I can force anybody on the left hand side of my screen to go into the past, and then I can poison them in the past and then bring them back into the future, and all of the damage of that poison happens all at once. At the same time, on the other side of the screen, what I could do is I could poison them on that side of the screen and then push them into the future, again applying all of that poison damage at once. And you can only do future stuff on the right hand side of the screen, and you can only do past stuff on the left hand side of the screen. And so you really have to slow down and think, all right, they're on the left side, so I can do this, then this move, and then this move. Okay, no, they're on the right side, so I can do these four things in order. It's so cool. I'm loving it. What a cool game. How much time have you had to really put into it?
I put a few hours into it. I wanted to play it so much more, but One Piece is pulling me away. But I didn't understand the temporal stuff as much. I was just like, okay, it's just seems like something that they're just putting on just to add another thing to the game, and I don't get it. And then I got to the point where you poison them in the past and then bring them to the future and they die, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in a turn-based RPG. And other things you have to bring into kind of like your decision making is you have multiple party members. Only certain party members can attack each round because there's the turns at the top with the little images of who's going. So you have to plan it. It's like, okay, if I push them into the past now, I'm not going to have the guy that can poison them for 2 rounds, meaning I'm going to take a lot of damage. So do I want to attack them now this round and hopefully kill them, or do I want to set them up for a combo later? It reminds me a lot of what's that game where you are you have to brave and then
Bravely Default.
Bravely Default. Yeah. So you're making the decision. Do I want to skip my turn now so that I can get multiple turns in the future? I found myself making similar decisions with CrisTales. The voice acting is amazing. The world just looks beautiful. It looks like it's a kid's storybook that has come to life with like super big colors and weird designed people, but it all kind of makes sense in the in the tone of the world. But really enjoying it. And if One Piece hadn't come out and kind of took all of my passion for gaming this week, I would have been deep in CrisTales, because I think it is it's one of those special indie games where people are going to be talking about it for a long time, because it does something that I haven't really seen much of in other like action RPGs, or I guess turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, I have to admit that I did a live stream of it, and I haven't played much. I played some, but I haven't played much past that live stream, only because I've been playing Pokemon Unite all week, and I got completely distracted by that because it's a MOBA, which reminds me, do we yet have a MOBA on Stadia? Like, that's one of my favorite genres of game. It's just so I can sit down, play a game, and be done. When is Smite coming to Stadia? Smite is a fantastic MOBA, and we still don't have it. So it's on every platform. I'm looking at you, Smite. When are we getting Smite and Paladins, for that matter, on Google Stadia? Because those are 2 really good games that that I think everybody should play. And I'm itching for some MOBA action with my Stadia controller.
And maybe we'll get some Pokemon Unite. Oh wait, no, probably not. That would
Probably
be
not.
that'd be a different
Although
system.
there's a video coming out in the next day or so about Pokemon Unite, about whether or not it's pay to win. So make sure you subscribe to check that out. All right, let's move on to the news. Unless, real quick, Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm a little disappointed in that. I love that game and it plays great on Stadia, of course, but the DLC is nowhere to be found.
yeah.
And like .emu has been saying, "Hey, Nintendo Switch users, we're sorry the DLC isn't on your system yet." They haven't. Like, I sent multiple tweets saying,
Same.
"Hey, is that coming to Stadia?" And it's just silence. And I know it's Twitter. They get a billion messages. They're probably just not seeing it.
Right.
But like, it seems odd that like part of the DLC, the character, the police lady character, I can't remember her name.
Estelle.
Estelle,
Estelle,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
She's included
Yeah.
in the base game on Stadia, which is cool. But
Mm.
then all of that other stuff, the stuff that I was really excited for, the Mr. X Nightmare DLC, none of that stuff is on Stadia. And like, because Lloyd and I both have it on Stadia, and we also have it on PC. And he looked on PC and said, "Yeah, look, this is the menu. The menu
Yeah.
has because you bought the DLC on
On
PC."
Steam. Yeah.
Right. And so he looked and he said, "Yeah, look, the menu's different on this and on Stadia." And like, you go to the Stadia store and it's like it doesn't say anything about DLC, and I can't find anything about the DLC. And the weird thing is that Streets of Rage 4 came to Google Stadia on, I think it was the 15th, which is the
July
day that
15th.
the
Yeah.
DLC came out.
Yep.
And it doesn't include the DLC, and the DLC doesn't seem to be available. So that's really strange to me.
It is weird. As you said, it came out on the 15th, and in the description when we were looking at the Stadia version, saying does this have the DLC? Like, we were really confused. It says the Stadia version of the game includes the additional character Estelle Aguirre for free, as well as new color palettes for all characters, and new training mode, and new Mania Plus difficulty. So does that mean that we're going to be getting all the DLC free as kind of patches that we won't have to pay for, or are they going to bring the Mr. X DLC here for the same price as everywhere else, but we already have one of the characters? Like, we don't have to buy the DLC for that, for one of the 3 new characters. So what is that going to mean? There's been no clarification at all. A lot of people have been tweeting. So yeah, I don't know, man. It is very disappointing, because I was so excited about this DLC, and of course the platform that I choose first for playing any game is Stadia. I love Stadia. I love the ease to get into games, the ability to play on any screen that I have in my entire house or pockets. Love it, but it's not there. So it's like, just tell us, is it coming? Is it coming later? I'm fine with that. Just let us know. But there's been zero communication from Dotemu at all, which is weird to me. But I mean, it's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time we get weird interactions with publishers on Stadia.
You know, it's funny. I say .emu and you say Dotemu, and I don't know what's the right way to say it.
I said .emu all the time because they were doing old game conversions, and then I was watching them do a video, and they're like, Dotemu, here at Dotemu we do this, and I'm like, I've been saying it wrong my whole entire life. So yeah, apparently it's Dotemu. That's what they call their company. But if you say .emu, .emu, everyone will understand.
There you go. Well, I just sent a poll out to ask people how they said it, and but I spelled it the same both ways. So who knows what people are going to say? All right,
Nice.
let's move on and talk about the news. So first off, this came out earlier this week, and I think that a lot of times that there's always much ado about nothing, especially when it comes to Stadia. Now, I don't know if this is nothing or not, but let's talk about this thing where people were concerned about the way that Stadia was doing that rev share with developers who are on Stadia Pro. Do you want to launch us off on this?
Yeah, so we did a very positive video about what these changes really mean to the platform, that it's going to give other revenue sources to developers and publishers that maybe they wouldn't have before because of the revenue share. But then there was a post over on one of the Yeah, Recetera, that's basically said that there's been some changes to contracts. So if you were a developer that signed up for Pro 6 months from now, maybe your contract has changed to say instead of this lump sum money that you're getting, now you're getting a revenue share instead. And everyone's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe Stadia is doing this." And then some other people said, "Well, it's in their contracts that it's an open-ended contract, so it can be amended." And there's arguing back and forth, and no one really knows what's happening. And it just time and time again, there's these little tiny things that happen, and then they blow up in the community. And I really wish someone at Stadia would just come up and say, "You know what, this isn't true," or "Yes, this is happening, but it's happening because of this, and we talked with these people prior to making this change," or whatever. It is disappointing, but there's a lot of people out there that are making comments and attacks against Stadia without knowing all the data and the information about it. So yeah, I don't really know what to think on this one, Bill.
Well, 9 to 5 Google did reach out to Google, which is a weird sentence to say, but they did respond. Like the PR Stadia's PR team did respond to them, and here's what they had to say. In discussions with Stadia's public relations teams, we learned that recently announced new Stadia Pro funding models is what most developers are using. The revenue model shares 70% of the funds obtained with Stadia Pro subscriptions with the devs responsible for the games, sharing the funds based on the sessions day. And then it says Google will begin offering 70% of Stadia Pro revenue to the developers and publishers of Pro games. Each game will earn a share of the revenue based on how many days that game was played by a Pro member in a particular month. And then but right here it says offering 70% of Stadia Pro revenue. So
Right.
to me, that seems like Google, and I'm not in the room, so I don't know, but that seems to me like Google said, "Hey, if you want to change your contract, you can do that."
Right.
I doesn't. My guess, I mean, I doubt that Google would just pull a Darth Vader and be like, "I'm altering the deal, prayer, don't alter it for." I don't think that they would do that because that's just bad business, and that
Yeah.
would scare away publishers from that. But of course,
Right.
everybody always looks at anything that Google does with these, I don't know, I'm going to say brown tinted glasses, and and assumes the absolute worst. So it also says here, Google tells us just in the first month, the company is already seeing developers outpace the revenue that they would otherwise have seen from the subscription buyout or
Right.
the funding they would have seen up front for bringing their game to Stadia Pro. So essentially, they're saying developers and publishers are making more money from this, which is
Right.
exactly what we assumed would happen when we talked about it on the previous podcast and in the
100%.
video that I put out.
100%. Yeah, and I was more just referencing kind of the community chatter that was going on, and we don't know. And people are saying, "Well, a developer said that this is what happened," but you don't know that this developer is a developer. They could be a QA lead or someone that is just playing games in QA, and they heard something at the water cooler and then are making these statements. So having Google come out and make these statements is clear. The statement that they made to 9 to 5 Google is not super clear. It's like Google will begin offering 70%. So like you said the quote, but it's like, okay, well, what about the addressing of the two claims that were made in the initial complaint on Recetera? They haven't. So we don't really know what is happening. But like all the sky is falling events that have happened with Google, we're always like, okay, the sky is not falling. They're doing this for good reasons, and that's exactly what I feel is happening here. But again, it was annoying to see that, and then all the usual suspects railing
It's
against
dead
Stadia.
again.
Still, it's like, okay, if you're just here to throw shade, like move on to a different platform that doesn't make you have to throw shade and get angry all the time. It's just, yeah, it's confusing. But like you said, Bill, they're already seeing that there's going to be higher payouts with this new revenue share model. So this is going to be a good thing in the future for pretty much everybody. I would assume Google wouldn't do it if it was going to hamstring the effort to get more pro games, because that is not what Google wants to do. They want this platform to grow and thrive. And by scaring away developers, you're not going to have a platform that grows and thrives. So
Yeah.
I don't think this is a way for them to get scare everybody away, to say, see, we tried, doesn't work. Okay, we're closing down next week. As some comments have basically said, I highly doubt that would be a thing, because I don't know, when you're a big corporation that has there's a lot of people relying on you for money, whether it's through stocks or wages or investments or whatever. If you do something to hamstring yourself, that tends to not be something that is looked at nice
Mhm.
from anybody that is your supporters or funders. So yeah, I just it it's I guess the short answer is this is annoying. The long answer is we don't know all the details, but I'm at least going to believe that Google is doing the right thing for their developers, because they want to have a large, vibrant developer base on their platform.
And the last thing that I want to say on this before we move on is that, Lloyd just said something really important. We don't know all the details. And guess what? Anybody that does know all the details isn't telling you it, because they have contracts that say you can't talk about this stuff.
Exactly.
So anytime you see this stuff, take it with a pinch of, like a pinch of salt. Have an ounce of skepticism out there, because generally, if those that know, those that don't know speak, and those that speak don't know, is really how it goes. So you know,
Exactly.
we always fully admit that we are completely in the dark and we are just speculating. And a lot of other people out there, they don't tell you that they're speculating, and they try and come off like they know what's going on. And guess what? Chances are they don't. All right,
Yep.
moving on. You know what? I I have always been uninterested in the Tom Clancy nonsense. I don't think I've ever watched one of the movies. I've never read any of the books. I played like one of the games and I was like, well, I got killed way too fast. I don't like this. And then I played the Division 2 and I totally got sucked in. And then I
Right.
played Rainbow Six Siege, and I came to these games late, but I totally got sucked in. And I really, really like those. And I like them enough that I'm considering, even though I bought it and returned it, I'm considering giving Ghost Recon Breakpoint another shot, because now I understand how their games kind of work at
Right.
this point, and I didn't really get it before. But now I'm really excited about, and I know that there's a lot of people who are unhappy about this announcement, but I'm really excited for Tom Clancy's the worst name in the world coming to Google Stadia and other platforms. It's called Tom
Sure.
Clancy's XDefiant. Insert
Mm.
eye roll here for the audio listeners. It's a terrible name. I don't know. Maybe that
Yeah.
means something in the Tom Clancy world. I don't know, but I think it's a stupid name. But that's okay. A lot
A
of
lot of
people think
people
Bill is a stupid name.
a lot of people use XD as the kind of like laughing so hard you're
Right.
crying kind of emoji. I get what they're trying to do here, but yeah, it's a weird name. It is a very weird name.
I don't think they're trying to do that. I think that they're
They have it.
putting
They have it in a circle, which looks like something that someone would tag on a wall. Because this is like the punk rock version of a first person shooter,
right.
and in the actual title, there's a circle around the XD, which looks like something that you would tag on a wall. So I think it's just part of their kind of punk rock aesthetic that they're going for. But it is incredibly weird.
For me, it feels like when in the late 90s, when they were like Doritos Extreme, like that
Yeah,
kind of nonsense, which
exactly.
I always thought was just stupid. But I'm excited for this. It's a free to play game where, and I like free to play games where you like the way that they make money is microtransactions through cosmetics and stuff.
Hmm.
The reason I like that is because their player bases are huge and there's always people to play with. And these guys, they said, the most important thing about our games is the gunplay. And after playing lots of Division 2 and playing Rainbow Six Siege, yeah, I kind of trust these guys to get the gunplay right, and I think that
Right.
this looks really, really fun. Basically, you have classes. You've got like, they just had them on screen. Let me rewind a second. But they've got four classes. It seems like, which are the Echelon, the Outcast, the Wolves, and the Cleaners. And basically, like the Cleaners, I recognize from Division 2, because those are
Right.
the fire guys that always come in and mess things up. But like this feels like Overwatch mixed with other stuff, and that's very interesting to me. I'm
Right.
excited for this. How
Yeah.
are you feeling about this, Lloyd?
I think it looks great. I love the fact that they're separating kind of the classes into factions. So each faction will be different. We'll have different types of fighters that are inside of it. So you know that if you see someone walking around and they're green, maybe they have some sort of poison effect. So when they shoot you, they're going to do life drain. Or you see someone that is on fire, it's like, okay, that's that particular faction. They do this. I like that. It makes sense. The thing that I don't know how it's going to work is, how are the microtransactions going to work? Are they just for aesthetic things? Like, are
I
you
hope
going to
so.
change? Are you just going to change the way your costume looks, or is there going to be more to it? And not that I am assuming that they're going to do something evil and like, here, pay for each bullet that you're shooting type thing. That's not what I mean. But is the are the clothing options that you're going to get, are they going to make it harder for people to realize what faction you are, to immediately see kind of what type of player it is? So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. It is fascinating to see so many companies get into these free to play shooters, whether they're battle royale style shooters, or team based shooters, or asynchronous style gameplay shooters with like Dead by Daylight.
Hmm.
There's so many new types of games that have kind of, I don't know, come up over the last few years, and it's been really interesting to see it. But to see Ubisoft push into kind of this market is a great thing as well. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic for XDefiant, even though the name is terrible to me, but maybe the crowd that they're going for would love it. So maybe that's what it's all about.
I'm super excited for it. My fingers are crossed that they're not going to do pay to win. As long as it's not pay to win, I'm okay with charging money for having a little dangly to hang off your gun. Or they showed a grenade that had like a smiley thing on the pin. Like,
Right.
all that stuff is fine. Having, you know, having my gun have a cool like paint job, or I guess my son always calls them wraps for
Yep.
some games, I guess. um Having a cool paint job on my, like, all of that stuff sounds great.
Right.
I worry that it's going to be like, pay money so that your grenade does 10% more damage when thrown from 5 feet away, or some kind of like that kind of thing is real bad and will kill a free to play game instantly. You
Right.
just got to be careful for that. But I'm
100%.
looking forward to it. Did they say when it's coming out?
I haven't seen any sort of dates. They just wanted to basically throw out the fact that it's happening, and the fact that they're going to be doing kind of the beta things, where you can sign up for a chance to get in the beta, and kind of make the game better. They want people to play it and give them feedback, so that they can make this a game that will not just launch and then kind of die off right away. So that makes me super happy that they're willing to put extra time into it, to make it a game that people really want to play, instead of worrying about all the development money that they've spent. They just want to ship a SKU, get it out there. We just want to sell as many copies as we can. I don't know, that makes me excited about what this game is going to turn into. Of course, we have like one 3-minute video, or whatever, showing what the game is, with most of it being talking heads of the
Hmm.
developers that are working on it, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see a lot more of this game. So I signed up for the free play, or the early play thing. Hopefully, I get invited into the beta, because I'd love to. I'd love to play this game and kind of see if it's going to be the looter shooter, or I guess just a shooter. It doesn't look like you're going to be getting too much loot, but based on some of the other Tom Clancy looter shooters, with that same sort of gunplay, has me pretty excited about what this game could turn into.
Now, it's important that we point out that this particular game while it is coming to Stadia, the beta is currently not on Stadia, so you can't really
PC.
sign up
Yeah,
unless you have other platforms to check it out on. But
correct.
I think that that's perfectly fine. They want to make sure that they're focusing on stuff
Mhm.
that way. I did just run a poll in chat. If you want to be here for the live show, so that you can participate in these polls in chat, make sure that you come on by at nerdnest.tv. By the way, but it says I said, "Are you hyped for Defiant?" 66% said yes, 33% said no. So there you go. That tells you something. Let's move
Mhm.
on and talk about a game that I had never heard of. Stadia posted this video earlier this week, and that is Heist Simulator. What are your thoughts on Heist Simulator, Lloyd? And I'll go after you.
I think it looks interesting. It reminds me a little bit of a game that I used to watch a streamer that used to stream a lot of indie games, and it was what was it? It wasn't Prison Simulator. It was like Thief Simulator or something, where you would basically go into a town and you'd have to steal X number of dollars of stuff from worlds that look very similar to what's in Heist Simulator. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, maybe this is just like a different take on that type of game where you're basically trying to get in, rob as much stuff as you can without getting caught, and then get out with your loot. It definitely seems like there's a lot more to this one because you can create your own kind of worlds that people can come and try to steal stuff from. So yeah, it's like a crazy blending of a whole bunch of different genres. But I'm very excited about this one to see kind of what it turns into.
This would be so for those of you that don't know, you can like completely build like a building and populate it with all of this cool stuff and
Mm.
design a heist for other people to try and complete. You get to build the walls, you get to put all the furniture in. When I was looking at this, it very much reminded me of the hours upon hours of me putting into Tabletop Simulator to build the D&D campaign that we're
Right.
playing. But this would be the absolute perfect game for State Share.
Mhm.
State Share, for those of you who don't know, is a way for people to share a link for other people. So I could make a level that other people could play in, and then I could just take a screenshot of that level and share that screenshot on Twitter or on
Mhm.
wherever or on YouTube, and people could click on that link, takes them right into the game, and they could try and do the heist and get like the high
Mhm.
score, and then they could share their high score with other people, and then they could try it. And this is the perfect game for that kind of thing because last week we talked about this, that Google said that when you have a click to play link, 1 in 10 people who see that link end up
Yep.
playing. And that is a really big deal. So when somebody could put in these state share things with a click to play link in this kind of game, it would be so huge for that particular game because
Yep.
if you click on that link and then you sign up for Stadia Pro, that publisher gets $10. So basically the first month that somebody signs up for Stadia Pro goes to the publisher who directed them towards it. And if they're constantly sharing those links around, it's going to generate buzz, not just for that game, but for Stadia. And people are going to be playing it a bunch more, which means now they get a bigger cut of that 70%, going back to the thing that we talked about earlier. So it really um, invests. That's not the right word. Gets people to do something.
Incentivizes.
Thank you. Yes, it really incentivizes the publishers to take advantage of those cool features
Yeah.
like state share in order to get people to play their game. I think this game looks really, really fun.
Yeah, the ability to set up like kind of your patrol paths for all the people that are in your world and stuff. This could be I created a square with a pile of gold in it, and people can go in and steal the gold, and they completed my heist. This is you broke into a cube and got my gold. You see some of the crazy things that they're doing, and where you have like security systems and bank vaults and all this other stuff. And like you said, Bill, the ability to just take a screenshot and tweet it out and say, "Hey, take on this legendary heist. You'll never be able to do it." Tweet it out and then have a bunch of people attempt it is going to be pretty huge. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one, at least to see what it is all about. Maybe not a game that I'll be playing a lot of, but I love these style of games. I love watching streamers play games like this.
Yeah, that's the thing about like this kind of game is because like every game, every time you sit down and play it, it's different. Like you can watch other people play it and it doesn't spoil anything for you. Like I
Right.
know that when I did my CrisTales stream, I know that a lot of people were like, "I'm not watching because I don't want to get spoiled on the story."
Right.
So like not a lot of people showed up for that one, which is totally fine. I completely understand that.
Right.
But like this kind of game, you can stream it over and over and over, and it's never gonna do anything. And like, this is another thing where you could say, all right, not just state share, but crowd play. All right, because it seems like it's multiplayer, right?
It looks definitely looks multiplayer.
Yeah, because
Definitely
they
looks
showed like a
multiplayer.
split screen with four people. So like it
Yeah.
seems like the kind of game where I could be streaming and I could be like, all right, everybody, somebody just sent me this state share. We're gonna play it. Go ahead and join on my what's it called? Crowd play.
Right.
Join on crowd play down below on YouTube. Four
Mhm.
people or three other people join me, and we try and figure out how to, steal the most gold or whatever. Like this is the perfect kind of game for showing off Stadia's unique features.
Mhm.
But they didn't mention those features, and so I worry that they're not going to bother.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get more news closer to launch, because yeah, this game is ripe for those features. It would be the perfect game to kind of showcase that stuff. So time will tell.
Absolutely. All right. The next game you put a bunch of hours into, I have yet
Yeah,
to pick up. I'm very excited that we're getting a free weekend to talk about Marvel's Avengers Omega level threat family
family
reunion.
reunion. Yeah, so Avengers is getting a big patch on or an update on the 27th, which adds a new Omega level threat called Family Reunion. This one looks like it has some story content to it, which is pretty good. I can't wait to check that stuff out. But as kind of a celebration of the Omega level threats Family Reunion patch that they're adding, there's going to be a free play date. So you'll be able to play this game for free on Stadia from July 29th to August 1st. And they're also adding cosmetic packs as purchasable items. I know in stores, I think GameStop is doing in the States, you'll be able to buy actual cards that have like a scratch off code on the back.
Oh,
But
cool.
they're doing packs of like add-on DLC cosmetic stuff. So there's a bunch of them available, and they're actually believe available right now. So there's things like Black Widow, Captain America, Hulk, pretty much every character that's in the game. They'll have a pack that is either $5 or $10, which gives you premium currency, gives you a bunch of cosmetics, and gives you a bunch of other stuff in the game. So it seems like this is a pretty big um, patch that is coming out, because not only are you getting new content and new multiplayer stuff and the free play weekend, but they're putting out packs of DLC, of this cosmetic DLC stuff, which for people that love having their Kate Bishop look like an old school Hawkeye, that's awesome. For Black Widow people that want their Black Widow to look like the new movie, that's fine. The game is perfectly playable without any of these additions as well. So it seems like they're finding their little niche for this game, and they're kind of carving out space there, which is great, because I'd love to see this game keep going. The one new hero a month has kind of never happened. We've only gotten two new characters with Black Panther coming in the future as well. But it is a fantastic game, and if you've not played it, the free play weekend will give you a decent example of the story, because the story mode in this game is absolutely fantastic. I loved it. The post story mode stuff was pretty limiting at launch, but that's since changed. They've done a lot more. They've done a lot more additions to kind of make the kind of the post story content a little bit better than what was there at launch, which is great.
Yeah, I had this game in my cart multiple times, and
Yeah.
I never pulled the trigger on Marvel's Avengers, and everything about it seemed like a game that I would like, but at the time I was like, I'm not so sure. Um, I'm super excited for the free weekend. So I'm just gonna throw a poll in chat right now if you're playing the free weekend, uh, we'll see what people say. But I'm absolutely going to be playing the free weekend. Now, Lloyd said that he played single player and
Mhm.
really, really enjoyed it. And he what was it, like 50 hours you put into it?
It was a lot. Yeah, maybe 80 hours. I
Oh
played
wow,
all the single player content, or all the story content single player, and I got all of my characters up to the max tier that you could get to prior to like the first DLC character coming out, because I wanted to have everybody at level 50 with all their heroic items and all that stuff. And then I really haven't touched it since. So
yeah.
I wanted an excuse to go back and play more of this game.
But that's the thing is like people look at this and they're like, oh, dead game. But Lloyd put 80 hours into single player
Yeah.
and enjoyed it. So I don't, I mean, yeah, I understand that this is a game where the player base isn't big for the
Mhm.
multiplayer content, but like if you just want to go through the story stuff, that seems really good. But I've added it to my cart a bunch of times, never pulled the trigger on it. Very, very excited for the free weekend because now I'll
Yeah.
finally be able to try it out. And then I'm also worried about the free weekend because that means I might end up buying the game. Is it on sale right now? I feel like it is.
I think it is. I think it is. I can't tell because I own it. I just double checked my Stadia stats. I put 81 and a half hours into this game on
Nice.
Stadia. So yeah, I've played a lot of Avengers. I definitely got my money's worth for this game.
All right, let's move on to the super chats that came in throughout the show. But before we do, I did just run a poll to see if people were interested in playing Marvel's Avengers free weekend. 62% said yes, 37% said no. All right, real quick before we get going, if you didn't know, you can use the super chat feature to support the show and to make sure that we see your message. Both of these, however, aren't really related to Stadia, but thank you very much for the super chats. Both Ruben DeGeeling and Kodiak Moonwolf are trying to get me to play Final Fantasy 14. I already have a character that's like level 60 something or other. Um, so I can't play for free anymore. And that means I would have to resubscribe. So that's why they're sending in the super chats to try and get me to play Final Fantasy 14 because it's a really, really good game. But I
Cool.
don't know that that's going to happen. But I do appreciate the support, you guys. You're awesome, very, very awesome.
Definitely.
Have you ever played Final Fantasy 14 real quick because it's not really Stadia related?
Never, never.
Never. Okay, well you're missing out on a really, really good game, and you can play it for free, and I cannot.
Mm.
I do wish it was on Stadia though.
I'd played if it was on Stadia. I mean, that's what got me finally to playing ESO after trying it a couple times on PlayStation, and then I put a million hours into that game before I said, you know what? I am not playing anything else. I am going to cancel my the plus program, whatever
Yeah,
gives you
yeah.
the extra bag and all that stuff. I'm going to stop paying for that because then it's going to make me not want to play this game and play other games. And then I've pretty much haven't played it since, which is a good thing. It allows me to play other games.
If I'm a publisher, I don't understand why any publisher that makes a game that is only online, like
Mm,
like Smite, a MOBA, or
right,
like League of Legends, or like MMOs like World of Warcraft or Elder
right.
Scrolls Online or Final Fantasy 14 or New World. Well, although New World obviously has a dog in another race. All of those games that are online only games, they need to be on Stadia because
Yeah,
you have to be online anyway. And then you don't have to have a giant client downloaded and installed. We need more of these games
yeah,
on Stadia. Right now, as far as MMOs go, we got Division 2 and Elder Scrolls Online.
yeah.
Is that it?
I think so. I can't think. I mean, Borderlands is kind
Eh,
of, sort of, but it's you're in small worlds, right?
yeah.
I can't think of any other MMO. Like ESO is really the only true MMO
Yeah.
that's in the game. It would be nice if we got others. Like I would love it if this is an aside and obviously probably won't happen, but if Blizzard just wants to bring like WoW Classic to Stadia and that's the only mode that you can access is WoW Classic, it would still do pretty good. Like the people that want to play MMOs on a controller, there's a large number of them,
You
and
know,
having
Destiny
that
2.
stuff from the Destiny 2. Oh yeah, Destiny 2 is a full MMO. That's
Yeah.
right. I totally forgot about Destiny 2.
Yeah. Although, you know, I don't want to talk about Blizzard right now. Those guys are jerks.
Yeah, I don't want to give them any money right now. So
Neither do I.
maybe don't bring WoW Classic to Stadia.
And people are saying Diablo. I mean, I was super excited for Diablo 4. I don't know if I'm going to buy it right now. They got some house cleaning to do over there at the house that Blizzard built. All right.
Mhm.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out with us. And thank you to Ruben and Kodiak for the super chats. And if this was your first time here at Stadiacast, because we got a bunch of new subscribers this week, make sure that you click on that thumbs up button. Make sure that you share the stream with other people. And make sure that you try out Stadia, because it doesn't cost you anything to try it. You can play Bomberman. You can play Destiny 2. You can play Hitman. And I think there's another free-to-play game that I can't think of the name.
Yeah, you can get chicken dinners over in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Oh,
PUBG is on there as well.
So you got games that you can play for free, and it doesn't cost you anything to try it out, and it works incredibly well. So make sure that you check it out. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. So, somebody's asking, are we playing D&D today? The answer is no. One of our players was at a wedding yesterday, and his son was doing a flip and broke his arm. So we're not going to be playing D&D, but
Youch.
Guess what? We're going to be playing D&D soon. And for those of you that don't know, the D&D live streams are for everybody. Anybody can come to the D&D live streams, but after the live stream is over, that is just for members. That's one of the ways that we're saying thank you to our members, is giving them some exclusive content.
Right.
But thank you very much for asking if we're playing D&D. Unfortunately, not today. But anyway, I hope you all have an awesome day, and we will see you next time.
Have a good one, everybody. See you next week.
There we go. We did it. Save.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Jeez, Ruben. Wow. Harsh, man. Who needs him anyway? All he does is drink things and cause chaos.
He was going to be at D&D, but I accidentally team killed him, and he's laying on the ground still. We haven't resurrected him. He's still laying there in a pool of blood, calling us on voice chat, wanting to bring him up, and we didn't do that.
Yeah. So for those of you that are wondering what he's talking about right now, Lloyd and I and Richard were doing a live stream of Rainbow Six Siege, and for Lloyd and I, it was our first time playing. And Lloyd was like, and I had just asked, I said, so wait, is there friendly fire in this game? And Richard was like, yeah. And Lloyd was like, he pretended to shoot at Richard, right? So he points his gun at Richard and then puts his gun a little off to the side of his head and shoots as a joke, but didn't realize that he still hit him, because the hitbox, I guess, is a little bit bigger than your actual head. And so he killed our teammate, and Richard just falls over dead. It was pretty funny.
I was like, oops. Yeah, because all the guns have bloom, so you could be aiming directly at someone's head and still miss them. So the bloom is usually a bad thing.
What's bloom?
So when you take a shot, it doesn't go exactly it's not like you have a laser pointed directly ahead. The bullets will kind of spread apart. So it's
there's an area where it may hit.
Yeah. So if you take 10 shots with your AR, no 10 shots are going to go exactly in the same place. They kind of move all around. So I moved to the side, so I didn't shoot him in the head, and then the bloom made it, so I shot him in the head. Where normally the bloom makes it so I don't shoot anybody. So it was fun. It made for a really good moment, and I'm sure that is going to be brought up every single time that I play a first-person shooter now with anybody else. So
yeah,
it'll be part of Nerdness history.
That's right. Sukotronic, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate the support, man.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Stadiacast, everybody.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Thanks everybody for coming out. Some great chat in the chat room. Hopefully everybody is having a good weekend. Make sure to check out some of the new videos we're putting up. We're adding some newer content. We're adding some other stuff, getting some other videos up there. So a little bit more. We'll say there's a little bit more selection of different things to watch now. So hopefully everybody's enjoying that, and maybe bringing them some other games that maybe you don't know about, or other platforms that you maybe don't know about. So it's been fun working on some new content.
Yeah, and if you're not interested in that Steam Deck stuff, that's okay. Just don't click on it. But um, it's like somebody did send me a message, and they're like, "Oh, great, another video about a thing that I only care about when I come here for just Stadia stuff." And I was like, "That's
Yeah.
like being upset that Netflix has Cheers when you just want to watch Scrubs," and I don't understand that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, people can be irritated with me if they want. I like talking about things that I'm excited about, and
Yep.
so I'm excited about that. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's a computer, so you can play Stadia on it too, and I'm excited to be able to play all my PC games on it, play Xbox Cloud Gaming on it, play Luna on it, and play Stadia on it. Like, that
Yeah.
thing's going to be really cool, and I think that I'm going to be carrying it around everywhere I go, which is very awesome. And so, like right now, I have a way to play all my Nintendo games wherever I go. I have a way to play my Xbox games wherever I go. I have a way to play my Stadia games wherever I go. I don't have a way to play my PC games wherever I go. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the theme of all of the things that I get excited about is, can I play them wherever I go? The answer is
Yep.
yes. Then I'm going to be excited about it. So there you go.
Exactly. And the other cool thing about it that I think a lot of people are going to get some use out of is you can plug it into a dock, plug it through HDMI, and boot into like a Linux GUI, and you can browse the web, do all sorts of things on it, because it runs a version of Linux on it. So you don't have to be even using it for playing games. Some people are going to use it as like a computer replacement. So you have a secure system that you're bringing with you, and plugging it in. Like, there's so many uses for it, which are which gets me very excited, including emulation. I'm
Mhm.
working on a video, trying to get my video editing skills even up 5% of what Bill does, because he's an editing god these days, and it's taken me way longer than it should actually have happened. But I'll have a video up on what I'm excited for, is about carrying around all my emulators and things like that. But yeah, like Bill said, it's going to be my streaming box. It's going to be my play old PC games that I've owned on Steam for 8 years and never even downloaded box. And then it's going to be the ability to play emulators, and boot up into a version of Linux where I can have a web browser and other stuff going that way. So yeah, I'm really excited for the Steam Deck.
Yeah, me too. And obviously, and a lot of you probably already saw it, but we put out a new podcast called On Deck. I can't believe we forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
so that people would know about it. A new podcast called On Deck, which is just a podcast all about the Steam Deck, and we're just excited about. We love getting excited about stuff, and
Hmm.
so it like that's the kind of thing that we're gonna do. And I'm looking to see if it's on Apple Podcasts yet. It's still not. It's
Eesh.
You can currently find the show on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Republic. Um, there was another one that I thought was on there before, but it's still not on Apple Podcasts. It's just taken forever
That's
to get
weird.
there.
Weird. Yeah. And I got a comment. Someone DM'd me on Twitter saying, well, does this mean you're not excited? You're not going to do Stadiacast anymore? Like, did we just spend 2 years watching you and you're now
Oh
going to give
God,
it
no.
up? I've been doing a Nintendo podcast since 2006,
Yeah.
and it's still going. And I love Nintendo. I love all gaming, and I talk about all sorts of gaming stuff. So just because we're talking about another platform doesn't mean that any of the stuff that we're doing right now is going to go away. Bill and I just love chatting about gaming, and in all its forms.
Mhm.
So this is just another way for us to do that.
Play games, not platforms. And with that,
That's right.
we're out of here.
All
Have a
right.
good one,
Take it easy,
everyone.
everybody.